Thank you guys for powering what it is that we do and making this dream possible. Tonight, we are spotlighting a filly from one of the best families, arguably one of the best families of the past decade, one that doesn't come around often. By Twirling Candy, out of the Blue Hen Mare Special Me. Her name is Keepsake Box. Our mission is to make ownership accessible at the highest levels. And so the decision to partner on a filly of this caliber from a top breeder and owner was an easy one. And to help us unpack why this filly is so special, why the family is so extraordinary, I'm thrilled to introduce Carrie Brogden, the owner of Machmer Hall Farm, one of the best breeders in the business, a brilliant horsewoman, and somebody that's going to have lots to offer. So let's see, let's start her video. Carrie, welcome. Now,
Thanks so much for having me.
Now, Carrie, I want to quickly rewind to how you got started. So you grew up in Virginia, basically rode before you could walk. You earned your bachelor's in psychology.
Mhm.
And in 2001, you and Craig built Machmer Hall from the ground up. And today you've bred or raised over 44 graded stakes winners, including, and guys, you're going to have to bear with me for a second, but we got to go through this list. It's unbelievable. So Hall of Famer, two-time Eclipse Award winner, and six-time Grade 1 winner Tepin, a mare who not only won in America, but won on the greatest turf stage on earth at Royal Ascot. Her first time going a straight mile, her first time on soft goings or soft ground, and her first time overseas. She sold for $8 million to Coolmore as a broodmare prospect. You're also the breeder of the Grade 1 winner and Kentucky Oak second search results, who earned $1.9 million in her career and went on to sell to Japan for $3.6 million. The Preakness winner, Rombauer, a horse like Keepsake Box that is by Twirling Candy, a three-time Grade 1 winner and Eclipse Award finalist, Mind Your Biscuits, a horse that is now in Japan and has produced a Grade 1 winner, a three-time Grade 1 winner, 2016 Kentucky bred champion older horse Flat Out, Grade 1 winner Exalted. I mean, Carrie, what a legacy.
I was laughing because I was thinking about how many of those horses only passed one vet.
I
It's been surreal, and it was funny that we were talking about, like, we've had three grade one winning twirling candy colts off our farm, and gosh, that's just crazy for me to think about. And yeah, Tepin was our out of our first consignment as sellers at Saratoga, and God, I just lucky to lead this life. That's all I can tell you.
so Carrie, you have bred so many amazing horses and you've done it for a long time. Can you just tell us like what drives your breeding philosophy?
Well, first of all, I was actually completely born into the thoroughbred industry. Both my parents are veterinarians, and we actually used to have a stallion named Clem, who was a Claiborne horse that my mom bought at the Keeneland November mix sale. And she used to, I remember when I was a kid, and she'd be at the farm and she'd have these big red books. Like now, everything is in real time. The pedigree updates are real time, everything is real time. But back then, when you were claiming fillies, she would have these giant red books that were done every year. And she would go to and claim fillies off the track. Now, keep in mind, the full crop was around 56,000 at the time. So there's a lot more thoroughbreds at the time. But and she breed them to Clem and sell them pregnant, and that was a very successful business for her. So I think we just kind of oh the biggest thing for us, and I can only think of one filly that came off that came off our farm that wasn't a top 30% physical of our crop. So we breed for the physicals, and we breed to have the best potential physical athlete we can. I mean, if you see Hussein Bolt, you look at him and you're like, holy Toledo, and then he is so fast and so amazing and incredible athlete. And I think a lot of times the athleticism, the physiques that you see, whether it's a top sprinter or top marathon runner, they have different body styles. I think of Michael Phelps with his arm reach. So we try to breed the best physical racehorse that we can. The hard thing to control is that we don't know is the will and the desire.
Sure, sure. And so for folks that are listening that maybe aren't as familiar with some of the language that we use, when you say physical, like, what do you mean by that? Is it you obviously have the pedigree, but is it looking at, hey, this mom's a little short in her leg? Can you explain that a little?
Oh, absolutely. And we do not breed like to like. As in, I am 5'3". My husband is 6'3.5", almost 6'4". Our kids are all tall. But if I had married a man that was 5'3", my kids would all be short. And so it's one of those things where there are certain breeders that believe like to like is a good thing. I personally, and what our farm philosophy is if a mare, like for example, you just said a short neck, if we need to look in an ideal conformation world, in an ideal world of what we're looking for specific physical conformation, we try to breed away from the faults of the mare and away from the faults of the stallion. So if our mare is small, I'm going to take her to a big stallion. If our mare is too big, I am not going to go to a big stallion because I don't want something that's going to be 17 hands. I mean, I know Zenyatta was 17-1, but she's the exception to the rule, not the norm.
Yep.
So, we just try to breed within the parameters of what is, there's a lot of great horsemen out there that buy a lot of good horses. And, you want that beautiful laid back shoulder angle. So, because racehorses have to be able to reach and pull, and you want that, a horse with a real straight shoulder, how can they possibly have a beautiful action and length of stride? They can't because their way that their actual shoulder is conformed. Versus you look at a warm blood, because my daughter does the jumpers, and the warm bloods, a lot of them will have 90-degree shoulder angles. And that's because it's up and down, up and
Yep.
down. We want the horses to jump up and down. Well, the thoroughbreds, we want them to reach and pull. So I think that you just have to try to breed for the best, well, what's kind of known as the best conformed thoroughbred you can get. And whether, that means bone or, shoulder angles or enough hip. And then, of course, a lot of things depend if are you trying to breed a sprinter? Are you trying to breed a router? Do you want a turf horse? Do you want a dirt horse? So there's a lot of different things. And the greatest thing is there's a lot of different variety depending on what you want to produce. And I mean, did I think Teppan was a turf filly? Mm, Not really. I mean, people forget she was a grade 3 winner on dirt. And all of a sudden they tried her on turf and wow, holy Toledo. And same thing with Gina Romanica, who's this filly's half sister. This Gina Romanica is stakes placed on dirt. And I talked to Chad, and Chad's like, this filly trains amazing. And I don't understand why she's only stakes placed. And then when they switched her to the turf, all of a sudden it was like, oh, there she is. So, even though she was a good dirt horse, she ended up being a great turf horse. And I'm sure a lot of people are aware of a legendary horse named Cigar that ran on turf for so many years. And he was a good turf horse, but all of a sudden switch him to dirt and he's beyond incredible.
Yeah.
So, so there's different I just rarely have been shocked with a physical becoming a graded stakes winner, because that's what we're all shooting for. We want to breed the Oaks winners, the Derby winners, the top racehorses. And when you go to Keeneland and you go to these races and you go to the top races and the Kentucky Derby, there are not a bunch of little rats. There are big, beautiful, athletic physicals, and that's what
Hmm.
we're trying to breed.
I love that. I love that. So this is a hard business, and clearly you have to have passion for it to do what you do, and you are oozing with passion. So Why are you so passionate about racehorses?
I'm passionate about racehorses and their second careers. I would say well, let me put it this way. So I was dating a guy when I lived in Virginia when my mom was shuttling her mares back and forth. And we were together for 3.5 years. And I was really getting into the thoroughbreds. And I remember he came up to me one time and I was reading The Blood Horse. And I was like, don't bother me when I'm reading The Blood Horse. And like 2 months later, he sat me down and he was like, I can't do this. And I'm like, you can't do what? And he's like, I can't do this. You love horses more than you love me. And I was like, what? That's crazy. I mean, at the time he was crazy talk, but he was right. He was right. And then I met my husband Craig, who's as horse crazy as I am. And so in the end, that was a gift. And it's right. I just think I think the hardest thing is too is I wish that I could bottle up the emotion of winning a race for every single person that lives in the United States and give it to them and like let them drink it and they understand that feeling. And once you get it, it's kind of I guess like I'm not a skydiver, but I guess that kind of adrenaline you're like, oh, this was amazing. Let's go back. Let's go back. And whether it's winning a race or selling an expensive horse or having a baby that you don't even own win a grade one, or we've done the walkover the Derby 4 times, and the closest we've gotten to winning it is seventh. But I want to produce before I die. I want to breed a Kentucky Derby winner. So it's just I think I'm so lucky we don't work a day in our life, but yet we're complete workaholics. And I embrace it, and I would love for people to come to the farm and see what it's all about. And I'm all about all open access, and I forget until I have people that don't get to handle horses on a regular basis how special it is when they come to the farm and they get to. I mean, the horses are incredible. They sell themselves. They're so smart. People don't realize that they all have their own personalities. I mean, you think your dog has a specific personality. You have a shy dog, or an outgoing dog, or aggressive. Horses are the same. They're very predictable in their personalities, and I think that that's really cool when people that aren't around horses get a chance to find that out.
Yeah, no, I mean, well said, and it's true. I mean, look, my wife and I we're both horse nuts, and we're like, that's all we know. And it's funny you said you've never been skydiving. I have been skydiving. It's it's awesome. Nowhere near the thrill of winning races. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I've been on motorcycles in rural Kenya. I've been on safari. I've been in a riot in the slums of Africa that was like and like nothing makes your blood pump like racing. And by the way, not even winning races, just like I always say, people are like, do you get nervous? And I always say, my heart starts to really beat around the final turn. And then I'll let you know, like, that's when my palms start to sweat. But you said something that's important, and I want to use that as a transition. And one thing that I want to call out to you and tell people, frankly, is I have so much respect for what you and Craig and your mom have done because, you know, Machmer Hall is, folks, for those that don't know, Machmer Hall is one of the leading breeders in the country. And Carrie, Craig, and her mother sit amongst farms owned and run by billionaires and sheiks. And it could very much be said that horse racing is a good old boys club. And Carrie, her mom, and her husband have done the hard work to earn their place among titans of industry. Um, and it could be said a lot of that was in making smart buys like Keepsake Box's Damn Special Me. For those that don't know and maybe haven't read, Special Me is the mother of grade one winner Gift Box, who earned over $1 million. That's Keepsake Box's full brother. Three-time grade one winner Gina Romantica, who's a half sister by Into Mischief. This is a mare that was recently appraised as a broodmare for $6 million. I want you guys to think about that for a second. This is a mare who can have one baby a year. And by the way, no guarantee that you have one baby a year. You also have to get lucky, right? Who's sold or who is appraised for more than some stallions. And by the way, not much less than like some Kentucky Derby winning stallions that I'm familiar with. Then there's Stone-tastic. This is a lightning fast sprinter, multiple graded stakes winner, grade one placed, went to the Breeders' Cup twice, beat some really nice horses. And then Special Forces, another son that's a multiple graded stakes placed earner. And here's the thing that's interesting: Stone-tastic and Special Forces are both three-quarter siblings to Keepsake Box. So,
Mhm.
Carrie, is it true that you picked up Special Me for just $6,000?
Yes, I was on my unbridled song quest. I I I don't or many years ago I just decided that unbridled song was into mischief. Like we actually bred Vijak, who was into mischief's first graded stakes winner, and I went all in. And Mark Toothaker, who sells seasons at Spendthrift where he stands, Mark Toothaker even tweeted out recently that he remembers the year we bred 20 mares to Into Mischief. And people thought I'd lost my mind. Well, we at one point had 42 unbridled song mares on the farm. So I was really in my quest because I think that unbridled song as a broodmare sire gives speed, beauty, soundness, athleticism. They're not too heavy. And so I actually had this filly on my radar. And so she was running for, she had big pedigree. She was a half to a grade one winner in our new recruit. And she was in for a tag. And I sent my trainer to go claim her. I think she was in for like 50,000 or something like that. And my trainer called me and he's like, no, do not claim her. Do not claim her. She is like the size of my German Shepherd. And I was like, what? He's like, she's like 14 hands tall. And I was like, oh my God, oh my gosh. Okay. So we passed on her. So fast forward, they gave up on her race career. And she is at the sale with Dark Hollow, her breeder. And I see her in the back ring, and she's got this big, beautiful body, big old shoulder, big old hip on her, and these little itty bitty short, like dwarf legs. And I went up to the consigner, David, who now brings up this story every time. I see him, and he was like, I said, "Well, tell me the story of this." When she was selling as a broodmare prospect, I said, "This mare doesn't was this mare compromised in utero?" And he went off on, oh, they had paid a $75,000 stud fee, and her mother had placentitis, and she was 4 weeks premature, and they had this $10,000 vet bill, and they couldn't believe she survived, and so it's this long, long story. And he's telling me the story like because he's telling me his woe of how much money he had lost on her. And obviously they were going to lose even more because they were just dumping her. And in my brain, I was thinking, this mare is genetically normal. This
Yes.
mare was compromised in utero. And unlike humans, where you can have a preemie baby, and I'm sure people always hear like, oh, Shaquille O'Neal was 4 pounds as a baby, and he grew to be, what he was. Well, horses don't do the same. They do not get that long bone growth. So a lot of them will look completely normal and have these itty little bitty like dwarf legs. And that's what she looks like. And she throws genetically absolutely normal horses. And it's funny, I have a painting downstairs of my friend James Keogh gave me of Gina Romantica and her mother together grazing in the field. And they're literally the same size. So anyway, that's how we bought her. And gosh, the rest is history. She throws the most. She has a full sister to Gina Romanica on the ground right now for 25. And actually, that's interesting. I'd forgotten about the candy ride, and uh, realized we bred her to Vacoma. We just bred her back to Vacoma this year. Tries kind of, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's actually perfect. It's also funny. I was looking at a stat, and I want everybody to hear this. So Special Me, you heard Carrie say, how she got her, and I rattled off some of the stats on her foals. What's unbelievable about her is that almost 50%, she's just about at 50% of her runners have become stakes winners.
Mm.
Now, right now, Vacoma is the leading sire of black type winners, not stakes winners, just black type. So it could be listed, we're talking graded winners. Okay. He is the leading sire of stake winners right now for 2025. He is at 7.4%, which
I
is
I
which
didn't
is
realize that.
which is it's a great number. It's nothing to shake a stick at, but I want you to take that 7.4 and compare it to almost 50%. It's like, old girl can't miss. So with that, I want to talk to us about the Twirling Candy Special Me Cross. It's obviously, been able to provide the full brother gift box, who is very talented. But what do you think makes the cross so potent?
Well, yeah, well, first of all, I just think that both of them are such successful sire lines and speed. And it's funny because Unbridled Song as a sire is not seen as a stallion, as a father, I should say, is not seen as throwing the soundness that he does on the racetrack as much as he is as a broodmare sire. I mean, he's an unbelievable broodmare sire. But I think, and Candy Ride also, that whole line, soundness. I mean, I don't know if it's because they're lighter on themselves and, they don't, Special Me doesn't normally throw massive, giant, heavy bodies. And I think a lot of times some of those horses, it's harder for them to stay sound because they're carrying so much weight. I mean, obviously, she's had two seven-figure sales horses. Um, and 50, I never thought about that she has 50% stakes winners. That's pretty cool. Well, and the biggest thing with her too is we figured the full sister to gift box, there's nowhere to fall. That even at the offering she is right now, she's worth that easily as a broodmare. So it gives people the ability to kind of uh, come in on a proven cross, like you said. And if it works out, good Lord, it could be the lottery ticket everyone is looking for. It's the pie in the sky. What we all want, the great racehorse plus the residual value, and that's what we're trying to do. And so that cross has worked so well for so many of our unbridled song mares. And I really am not sure why specifically it works. It's just something like, once again, it's, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, yeah, like we'll go back. Why not? Like when we were talking about who we should go to this year, Vacoma and this mare, her and Puka are basically the two alive now unbelievable mares. And I
Yeah.
remember when 20 years ago, it was Better Than Honor, when she had Rags to Riches and she had all these great, and it was kind of like one of those things where, wow, who wouldn't want a daughter of Rags to Riches? Holy Toledo. So we wanted to make sure we I didn't breed her to anything recently that was unproven, because
Mhm.
no matter what happened, especially if we got a filly, we wanted to make sure we had, I didn't want her to breed her something like Buddha, or well, he's the son of a bridal song, but a stallion that completely failed, because I wanted to make sure that we had the potential of producing the racehorses.
Sure. And so, for those of you that aren't familiar, Vacoma, who Carrie's talked about and I mentioned as well, is a son of Candy Ride. Twirling Candy is also a son of Candy Ride. So you can see that through line, that kind of red thread that Carrie's weaving there. So, Carrie, you had an independent expert appraise Keepsake Box as an unraced broodmare prospect. So, y'all, that means, let's say this filly doesn't run a step. She's just the worst case scenario. And he appraised her at $650,000. Her full brother stands at Lane's End, as we've mentioned, as a breeding stallion. Her half sister was just valued at $6 million, and she's being offered at a $500,000 valuation. So that kind of upside is rare. What do you love about this filly as a race prospect?
Her mind. I mean, and that's what the mare throws. The mare always throws, like, every time I would go and see her at Valerie and Tristan Demericks, I mean, she's training, she's galloping, she's on the track, and when she's coming off the track after her breeze, she's dragging the rider off the track. And I even said last time I was there, I even said to Valerie, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And she was like, "Yeah." She's like, she just loves to train. It's for some reason it's in their blood, it's in their genes. I mean, I always laugh when people say, "Oh, well, you make these horses run."
Yeah.
No. If you
No.
can figure out how to make a horse that doesn't want to run, you let me know. It's the
Yeah.
opposite, and I think that that is a big part of what courses in the veins of the majority of her foals. And I'm hoping, because I saw it with my own eyes, that that's kind of what we're dealing with here. And that's where it's like when I got the appraisal, it's appraisal as a 4-year old unraced maiden. Because when you have a broodmare prospect, it's very different than when you have a racehorse prospect. And if she could even get, I mean, if this filly was stakes placed, she would be worth 7 figures. If she's a graded stakes winner, I mean, watch out. Oh, and by the way, Gina Romanek, her half sister, is pregnant to Gunrunner, who's one of the leading stallions by Candy Ride in
Yeah.
Kentucky. So that they're continuing the Candy Ride. So it was interesting to hear that they bred her to Gunrunner.
That's fun. I'm excited to see that. And it's like you said, somebody had asked, submitted a question. They're like, how do you know if a horse kind of has it, or what do you look for? And I agree with you. Like when I saw her, what was really fun too is, at the sales, so many of our guests haven't been to the sales. You got to remember, like horses are getting pulled out of their stalls over and over, and they've just worked, earlier the week before, and they're sitting in their stall and they're getting pulled out all day long, in and out, in and out. She had the best attitude. She marched across the pavement, and she's very classy, very professional. She's a big scopy filly, not big in a bad way, just a big, kind of imposing filly, a really classy, and you can tell that she has a great mind. And that I think fillies, I mean, fillies and colts are so different, but like fillies can really cop an attitude, and they can get sensitive, and you can hurt their feelings easily. And she was just like, cool, I'm here, let's go with the flow. Like, but
Well,
then aggressive training.
and that's why when you guys brought up and why it made so perfect sense, because for us it's really hard to sell a horse like this, but if we retain 50% of her and race her, then it's a win-win for all of us, because if it works out, it really is going to work out, and there's going to be a lot of people that give me lots of hugs. And even if it doesn't work out as a racehorse, when we go to sellers of broodmare, there's going to be a lot of people giving me lots of hugs, because there's nowhere to go. There's no negative. There's nothing negative. Every single filly out of this mare ultimately is going to be like, for example, we bought the Candy Ride, the unraced, because she unfortunately bowed a tendon, but we bought the unraced Candy Ride daughter of Stone Tastic for
Okay.
400,000. 400,000. And that's her daughter's first full.
Right.
And I know that was a lot of money, but we love the family.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm like, they're saying 650, that's actually to me a very fair, if not conservative, appraisal. And so ultimately our whole goal with her, and Saffie is very good. We had some really good fillies with him. We've had Baticata with him, and we bred another filly that he had, that became named Three Witches, that became a graded stakes winner and ran in the Breeders' Cup. So he's had really good luck with our horses, as we've had a lot of good luck with Chad Brown. And
Yeah.
so I love the idea of targeting this filly for ultimately what we hope is a very long race career, and then hopefully residual value with her. Valerie, so right now, just Valerie and them were very encouraging on her. And when I saw her drag the rider off, I was like, well, and I literally said to him, there you go. Now you see why. It's that will, it's the
Hmm.
desire. And how do you create that? I think it's just within them or not.
Yeah, it's like, it's funny. You hear about um, Kobe Bryant, for instance, his Mamba mentality, right? Like they said, and Michael Jordan too, like they outplayed everybody, they outpracticed, they outprepared. And it's obviously with racehorses, we have to be careful that there's not too much that they go like a tap it kind of direction and get kooky. But she's so quiet and so professional. Like the best thing I think you can have is that combination of the will, the just like iron will, and the mental fortitude and confidence to handle what you put in front of them.
Sure. And the biggest thing too with fillies is, do they eat? Like
Yeah,
those, the finicky fillies, if they're finicky when they're young as yearlings, how on earth are they going to keep eating and training? You know, you want those fillies that have a good appetite and have a good constitution and love what they do, because otherwise they'll be little greyhounds if they don't, if they're not able to keep on condition, because then ultimately food is energy, and you need energy to be able to compete at these levels.
right. Right. Now, so you mentioned, I've never worked with Saffie before, have a lot of respect for him. I've heard great things. Saffie Joseph, for all of you that are unfamiliar, he's, one of America's hottest young trainers. He's got Breeder Cup winners, Pegasus winners, you name it. What do you think sets Saffie apart? You've worked with a lot of trainers, so what kind of sets him apart?
I would say if you stop him on the street, and there's several trainers like this. I think Chad's like this. I think Kenny is like that. If you stop him on the street and you said, "How is my horse Bananarama?" He would know exactly what horse you had, where it was, and how it was doing. And I think being on top of a program and having the passion. I mean, if you saw him when he just won the Breeders' Cup with his filly, like just crying in the winner's circle, and it's shared passion. So I really appreciate that, and he and I talk a lot, and he's very responsive over text, and he, it's just one of those things where I just think it's a real shared passion, and that he lives it every single day. I mean, I recently my husband and I are doing our wills, which is kind of bad that it's taken so long. But our the guy who was doing our wills was sitting. We were sitting down and we were chatting. The attorney, he's like, "Okay, well, what do you guys like to do for fun? What's your hobbies?" And Craig's like, go to races. Like, and I was like, watch races, bet on races, like go to races, look
Yeah.
at pedigrees. I mean, and that's kind of the silly thing, but and I would tell you that I feel like that Sappy's kind of like that too. And a lot of super successful people do live it, whether it's Todd Pletcher or Steve Asmussen or some of the top trainers. Steve Asmussen's the same way. No matter when I saw him at, like, when Gunrunner, who's now basically one of the top three stallions in the country, when he first had 2-year-olds, and I stopped Steve and I said, "What do you think of Gunrunner?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh." I mean, he was just like, "This horse is incredible, and these 2-year-olds are amazing." And we bred 3 mares to him at $45,000, just because Steve was conveying to me how special he thought the gun runner 2-year-old babies were. And now it costs $250,000 to breed to him. So he was spot on. So I appreciate that passion. And I think a lot of times that passion ultimately leads to the success, because you're living it. You're
Yeah.
living your career. It's your job, it's your life, it's your hobby, it's everything you want. And that's what we try to surround ourselves with, because that's what we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to work with people that, like, there's no other thing they want to be doing. So
Yep.
that your horse, you have, and most importantly, your horse has all their attention. They're not rushed to be somewhere else. They're like this. I mean, that's one thing I love about Michael McCarthy. He's like wins a grade one and he's like, and I need to be back at my barn. Goodbye.
Yep.
Please leave me alone. I mean, there's probably other people you could have a longer conversation with, but you know what? At the end of the day, these guys need to be evaluated on how they prep a horse more than how they hold a conversation. So,
Well,
well,
it is very interesting to me, and the whole, and it is living. And I'll tell you, we go out to dinner. This just happened recently, where we went out to dinner, and there were 6 of us, and 4 of us who were in the thoroughbreds and racing, and 2 of us weren't. And I literally went over and I said, "I am so sorry
yeah,
that this has become a thoroughbred racehorse dinner." I was like, "You guys must be like rolling your eyes." And luckily, they were horse. They loved the idea of it, so they weren't. But that's what it becomes. That's what it becomes.
they
And
just need to switch businesses. It's simple.
well, the good thing is with what you're doing, and the microshares and the availability, you can do as much or as little as you want to be. You can be involved. You can come to Kentucky. You can come see Special Me and her yearling and her baby and enjoy and blab with me, because I could blab into the oblivion about horses. Or you could just wait until you see the entry, and then you could watch the race, and you
Right.
can put it at whatever level that you want to be involved with. The door, what this offers is a chaperone into the horse racing world with, like you said, some of the top sires and some of the top breeders and some of the top trainers. And it's things, I think it's very, very important. I love sharing what I do. I want no more in my life than for, I mean, I even thought about it in my obituary. Carrie Brogden made horse racing popular again. That is what I would like on my, well, I'm not going to be buried. I already know I want to be cremated. But if I was buried, that's what I would want on my tombstone. So
I love it. I love it. Well, we're so grateful that, you know, one, for sharing your passion with us, and two, sharing this special filly with us, because I'm really excited. We've had an amazing strike rate. Um, we're not going to get them all right, but quality is kind of the table stakes for us.
mhm.
I want to make sure that whether you're putting in $50 or 50,000 on Commonwealth, that our members have a chance to compete at the highest levels in a very serious way. Like, I think there's nothing more exciting than, racing is hard, and it takes perseverance, and there's some heartbreak and stuff involved. But what I tell people, I'm like, if you're patient enough and you have the conviction to wait long enough, I promise you it will make itself worth it, because the thrills that you get in this game are unlike any other. You just have to, and the beauty is, as you know, it takes a quantity of these horses so that you can let lightning strike. Like, there, by the way, most of these journeys have been fun. I really haven't been on a journey we've had one horse not make it to the races and all the horses we've offered in 6 years. And that
Wow,
one,
that's amazing. Actually, that's incredible, believe it or not. I mean, that's really incredible stats.
only one horse. It's a filly that never got over shins, and it was a real bummer. But
Well,
and that was
shins just
probably,
means she was fast. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so, and she couldn't train. But the rest of them, even the ones that, they're not all going to be country grammars and mages, but the journey is still amazing. It's exciting to win a claiming race. Like, I don't want to compete in claimers, but it's exciting.
Well, I have a funny. So one of the first races Mike Craig and I won, we had a filly at Charlestown. I mean, excuse me, yeah, at Charlestown. And oh no, I'm sorry, she was at Mountaineer with Doug. Our trainer's name is Doug. He's since passed, but it was when my son was little itty bitty, and he's 22 now. And her name was Colebrook Fighter, and she was running for 10,000. And our son did not sleep at all. It's a miracle that I have two more kids, because he would not sleep and he would cry. And oh, it's just horrendous. So the night that she is running, we get him into bed and he is sound asleep. And I'm like, praise the Lord, the kid has finally gone to bed. So Colbert Fighter runs, and this is like late at Mountaineer. It was like whatever it was, 10:30 at night.
Oh
And she
no.
wins, and my husband and I go ballistic. And all I remember that Reese going, our kid going nuts because he heard us wake up, and I'm like, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. But I'll never forget that. And that was a $10,000 claimer.
Yeah.
And yes, it's just trying to understand that, yeah, winning races at any level is absolutely amazing. And our horse Steel Sunshine just went to Dubai, and it's just incredible the places the horses can take you. And the amazing thing is that people, horse people, animal people, dog people, yeah, it's a very friendly environment. A lot of horse people are drinkers. They are gamblers. They are fun. They love life. They're
Yeah.
not going to be stuck up or whatever, and they love sharing their passion. And I think that that's why I just love it so much. And we feel like we have a lot of, even though we're competitors, we have a lot of friends in this industry, because you have the shared passion and love of The horse.
Yeah. No, here, here. I can, speaking of that, I can drink to that.
I know.
Now,
I have a glass of wine around here somewhere that
we
is ready for me
usually
after I finish.
we usually pour a glass of bourbon for these. So last couple questions, Carrie, and then we'll let you get
Mhm.
back. What are, somebody asked, what do we see happening for this filly? I have my opinion on kind of, but they're like, do you think we'll have to wait till she's 3 to race?
Oh, I hope not.
That's great.
I talked to before we came on. I talked to Valerie. They would expect her to head to Saffie in July. First, probably first part of July, and barring setback, that's plenty of time for her to have a nice fall campaign.
Yeah,
I would hope not. There's no reason. I mean, knock on wood, she's
yeah,
she never had an issue. All through the 2 year old training, we are a very big hay, oats, and water farm. She never had a joint injected all the time during training. I mean, she's never had a day, of unsoundness. She's just always been very, very, very straightforward, and that's kind of the way her mother always throws. Very straightforward horse that I can feel proud to represent and stay in on and race and gosh, I mean, if she could be half as good as some of her siblings, it would be really fun. I mean, I went to, Gina Romanica. We were there when she won the grade one at Keeneland and went in for the champagne room. I mean, can you imagine? Here she is winning the grade one. Let's go in the champagne room at Keeneland. That is a surreal thing to do. That is a bucket list item. And there's no reason we can't do it. Why can't we do it? Why can't she
no,
be just as good as her brother?
why not us?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, I agree. I mean, I look at this filly as, I think she could probably do either surface. I don't even like to, I think people get hung up on that too much. So I'm like, I don't even like to talk about it. I think
Hmm.
it's like Saffie is successful on both surfaces, and she's bred to, as we've seen on the family, she's bred to be successful on either surface. And the most important thing from my perspective is, what is the horse telling us they want to do? And where can we put them? Look, she's no less valuable, as we've just seen with Gina Romantica, who's worth 6 million and she was a turf horse, and then other dirt mares like they're
Sure. Well, you just mentioned Tevpin sold for 8 million, and she
yeah,
was a grade three winner on the dirt and a grade one winner on the turf. So
yeah,
yeah, there's just nowhere to fall value wise
yeah,
with her, and that's the most exciting thing about it. And the fact that the mayor has now given us another filly. We have a Flightline yearling filly, and now we have an Into Mischief baby on her side. And like I said, anyone who wants to come visit, they can come see her. And you see this little itty bitty mare and this big giant baby. And that's just, I still laugh about it and think, poor Dark Hollow. But David is the owner of Dark Hollow. And every time I see him, he's like, oh, you got me on that mare. It's just,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that. Well, Carrie, no, we'll definitely work with you to set up maybe a tour of some sort for some of Commonwealth Nation that are in on Keepsake
Anytime,
Box.
anytime, anytime.
That'd be awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. We're so excited. I could chat with you all day. It's getting late for everybody though, so I think we'll start to wrap up. And y'all, Keepsake Box is open. She's gonna go open to the public, I believe, tomorrow night, or I'm sorry, not tomorrow night. Don't listen to me. Tomorrow morning, we're gonna fully open her up, and we will shoot you a note if you want in and you're not on the note. If you hadn't joined the notify me list, you're ready to get in. Shoot us an email. We've got some more exciting content, and you heard it from Carrie. Special filly, special pedigree, limited downside. Sky really is the limit. So cheers to her and cheers to us.
Yeah, can't wait. I mean, oh gosh. And yeah, it's the old saying, no one ever committed suicide that has an unraised 2 year old in the barn.
That's
That is, I just thinking
I
about it, like I'm thinking, what if we are in the champagne room? And that's the dream. But the good news is the dream, I mean, we've been there. You've been there. I've been there. the dream, it can become a reality, and that's the greatest thing about horse racing. It's not all pie in the sky. What we hope for is pie in the sky, but in the end, it is attainable. It's
Yeah.
completely attainable. Um,
We have a, yeah, no, I'm glad you said that. We have a very real opportunity. It's not like this pipe dream.
mm-mm.
And it really is, I said when we started, before Mage, before Country Grammar, my belief was, I said, just in general, I've done horses since I was 4, competed internationally in show horses, and my hypothesis was that if you get quality stock and you put them in a position to do well and you do it enough times, you will win big races. I didn't know, you know, admittedly, I didn't know we were going to win the Dubai World Cup basically with our first horse and then win the Derby like 2 horses later. But I've never been obsessed with like, well, we have to win this Breeders' Cup or we have to win this race. It's just let's, take care of the horses and they'll take care of us.
Yeah,
And if you
100%.
put them in a position to strike, Tiger Woods just had to get plopped down in front of the ball and allowed to swing enough, and he became him. So that's what we're doing. We found this special filly, and now we let her do what she was born to do.
Yeah, well, I'm really thrilled to bits. I'm thrilled to be a part of it. And my whole goal from it will be to get those people that want to be more a part of horse racing and thoroughbreds and we have a whole OTTB, which is considered off the track thoroughbred arm on our farm too. So we do second careers, and that's very important to me too. So my whole thing will people that want to be involved in it and learn more about it, come on. We'll show you some hospitality, and we're right literally. Not only that, you can, we're between Claiborne Farm and Stone Farm on the same road, and you can come by and see Secretariat's grave on your way out to us.
There you go. All right, well, we're gonna make it a date.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks so much, Carrie.
All right, take care.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye.